We are live from eMerge Americas, and I'm here with Kaio Philipe from Bloomberg Linea. Welcome, Kaio.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Excited to have you here at our Endeavor booth.
Of course. Yeah, amazing. Looks great, by the way.
So great energy here, and there's so much going on. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, but this time I'm going to be interviewing you.
Sure.
So for my first question, I just want you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur in the news and data industry.
Right. I like to say I was before an entrepreneur in corporate, and then I became an entrepreneur in corporate as well, but with a different venture. And I'll give you I'm from Brazil originally. I don't know if you can get by my accent.
Eu entendo português.
I have a very high accent, which is great. Very Brazilian accent, people say. I started my career in Brazil. I worked in investment banking for a few years, and then I moved to technology. I went to work for Google. From Google, I went to work for the Google competitor, the Chinese company Baidu, which is the second largest search engine globally. Of course, because Google is the first one. And then I helped launching Kayak in Latin America, kayak.com, which is a travel website, travel search engine.
I use it all the time.
I bet so. Yeah, it's a great product. And so I had my experience with Latin America. Being from Brazil, sometimes we're such in a kingdom, and we don't look like to other countries because Brazil is a huge economy. So companies they tend to stay in Brazil. You don't get many Brazilian company exporting their products. Yeah. I would say, but they export talent a lot. So you have a lot of Brazilians like me everywhere in the globe. And at Kayak, I helped launch many countries in Latin America, and here in the US Hispanic as well. So Kayak in Espanol, which was a great success. And then I built my consultancy company. Started working with companies that wanted to enter in Latin America, and also Latin companies that wanted to go to the US. And with that, I joined to help Bloomberg to found this project that didn't have a name at the time. And my job was to help finding a partner to find this to form what it is Bloomberg Linea today. And eventually I migrated to that venture, which is we run separate from Bloomberg, so it's a separate venture under the Bloomberg brand. And that was my experience as an entrepreneur, because from day to night I had to form a team, hire people, many, even where you're going to put the newsroom, where you're going to hire people, what's going to be the strategy, how many salespeople we're going to have, what we're going to be selling, what type of advertising, how to put business entity, where we're going to have a business entity going to be in Argentina, in Brazil, in Mexico, or in the US. Offices, yes or no. That was during the pandemic, 2020, 21. It was fun. It's been fun. It's been almost 3 years now, and it's been fun.
So you co-founded it.
Yep.
So what was the driving force behind creating Bloomberg Linea? And I know you started with the Brazil, but it's all in Latin America now.
We didn't start with Brazil. Actually, that's actually a thing that, of course, because I'm Brazilian, that helps a lot. You have to understand Brazil to operate in Brazil, right? Many people don't. And I get it. I see why. But we launched initially 9 countries, all combined.
Oh, wow.
Brazil being one of them. And then we eventually launched more countries. So we are live now at 18 countries with dedicated content. Yeah. And the drive was very simple, right? At the time, there was nothing like media the way it is. I believe it's dying. I think media is changing a lot. And the way I say it's dying is not in a bad way, it's in a good way. I think it's changing the way we consume media.
Yes, correct.
Younger generations, they are not consuming media as they were in the past. We don't buy magazines anymore. We just, it's very, the printing industry is kind of having it slow down.
Or the big newspapers.
Yeah, the big newspapers, even magazines, right? Like people don't buy as often as our parents used to. So I believe that newer generations, they are using podcasts to consume news. They are using TikTok. They're using Be Real, whatever new app, right, that they can find. Snapchat. And the drive was, okay, media there are oligopolies in Latin America. Monopolies or oligopolies, right? What I mean by that is that you have these countries that are the main media companies. They are a family-owned business that's been there for 40, 50 years. Every country is the same in Latin America, you name it. And then you had space of newcomers to innovate and to start speaking to your audience, to younger audience. And on top of that, you have the financial and business factor, which is Latinos, we Latin America, we had this experience to put money on saving accounts. And the world's changed in a way that everybody can buy stocks, even in Nasdaq or New York Stock Exchange. If you're in the countryside of Argentina, you can open an account and you can trade through an offshore or through apps that allow you to do it these days legally. And so people wanted information in their own native language. So it was full to fire to put that, and we are very proud that we are live for 20 months now, 21 months now, and we have almost we surpassed 4 million people on the site.
Impressive.
Yeah, we have more than 30 million users receiving our content monthly through all platforms. We call ourselves multi-platform. It's not only about the website anymore. So yeah, that's the drive. I hope it was helpful.
Perfect. So it's been a couple of years. So tell us a little more about the traction and what are those big milestones that you have already achieved and that you want to achieve in the next couple of years?
For any entrepreneur out there, if you're producing a new project within a big corporation, or if you're building your company and raising cash, you have to start from day one, right? Day zero, actually, where you have the idea, you have the concept. To me, it's always like, what is day one, right? Okay, what is going to be the business? What is the business model? What is the business plan? That's very important for anything in your life. It doesn't matter if you put that in a piece of paper, or in a PowerPoint, a fancy PowerPoint. You have to have a logo. You have to have a storytelling. What is the story behind what you're going to do? What problem you're going to fix? I know it's very cliche to say that, but at the end of the day, it is what works. So from that moment, I have different stages, and the company, and I say that to my team. Maybe tomorrow I'm not going to be the right person to do that job. There might be somebody else who's going to be better to do the job that I am doing right now.
And let me just add, that takes a lot of vulnerability, and I admire you for that because not many leaders know how to do that.
Right, but that's part. If you see any successful business out there, let's put it that way. You had these same examples, right? Like forget Microsoft, like Bill Gates. I'm not comparing this with Microsoft. I wouldn't dare myself.
It's okay.
But that's a great example, right? You had like a leader who had to step down and had to have people, executives, and it wasn't because he didn't want to do that job anymore. Or he couldn't do it. He was very capable, but he was better suited for other things. So in my business, we think daily about succession, and I think that's very important because then you create other leaders, and the business kind of become self-sustainable.
Yes.
So I think it's a smart decision for every leader out there to sometimes detach themselves emotionally and understand it's all business.
Yeah, and it's how you pay it forward. We
Right.
talk at Endeavor that this is the multiplier effect. The more you pay it forward, the more you prepare your future leaders for that succession.
And the new generation, that's it, right? If you, I come from a generation, I'm not that old, I'm a millennial, but and that's fine, right? But I feel for younger generations that they are not having the option to work in an office sometimes because many companies are remote. And you learn a lot when you're an intern, you're learning from someone, you learn. So I had that, I learned a lot with great people, and you kind of, learning is like, it's not because somebody's telling you something that you have to absorb 100%. You filter and you apply whatever you feel it makes sense for you. So I think that's one thing that it's kind of, it's a pity, but I think we're gonna survive.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
And so how do you see the future of incorporating technology and digital media into financial news?
Well, there is financial news. There are two types of financial news. Let's just put it that way. There is the hard news and there is like the more entertaining news. I'm not a journalist. I like to put that disclaimer out there because people sometimes believe
I'm not either.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, you're doing a great job. You see, but you see, that's why I said the media is dying the way we know. People like you, they can broadcast and they can do a great job without going to school, and that's great. And not only that, there is the great side and that's the flip side. The great side is that it opens room for talent, and because talent is talent, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to school to become a very good talent.
Yeah.
And the flip side is that you get fake news a lot, right? Because when you get somebody with 20 million followers putting a fake news out there, it becomes dangerous. That becomes a tool. But the way I see is that in journalism there is hard news and there is entertaining news or more investigative, engaging. And for hard news, you have technology producing ChatGPT articles that will give you like the dollar was up today, the dollar was high, the Peruvian soles or the Canadian dollar, that can be created by any AI.
That's true.
Now the other part is more engaging, investigative work that requires, and you have like great examples of investigative pieces that took down billion-dollar corporations.
Yeah.
Like, in fairness, right? They were just doing investigating their jobs, like the Wall Street Journal with Terranos, right? That was a great example. So I think technology will be there for more hard news, which is great, because then we'll give space for journalists to do also investigative pieces.
And we need the research, right? Again, you said that everybody has now a phone and you can have a voice and use social media.
You have an audience bigger than many traditional players, right? The biggest media company right now, it's a guy named Mr. Beast, who has over 100 million people following him on social media. What I say is a media company is an influencer. He produces like YouTube shows and
it's a business
TikToks.
Now for him.
Oh, it's a business, of course. Yeah, he was offered $1 billion for his company.
Oh my God.
If he decides tomorrow he wants to create news, and of course he needs a newsroom, and he needs journalists doing that. But at the end of the day, I think it's always going to be about fact checking, and again, journalists doing their job, and they do that very well. I think it's a public service more than anything. So.
No, it's very important what you do, and it's very important what Bloomberg Linea is doing. And for my last question, so you're here in Miami, you're participating in eMerge Americas, and what are you seeing about the development of Miami tech and Miami being a tech hub?
I moved here, it wasn't like that. There was this saying that Miami, either you were here because you were an expat, or you were looking for a job, or you were an entrepreneur, right? In SMBs industry, so moms and pop shops. There was just a few cases of big corporations that were actually founded here, different than New York, San Francisco, LA. I'm proud. I think the city is evolving a lot. I think everybody had this fear that it was just a buzz or a bubble.
Yeah.
It's not. You can feel in the streets if you live here. Great talent are here. Great companies are moving here. I'm very bullish. I think that if there is one city globally that you could bet in the next 10 years is Miami. Like top 3 cities, Miami is one of them.
I agree with you. And I've also seen a lot of Brazilian companies and entrepreneurs moving to the city.
They're trying.
Yeah, they're trying.
There's 2 types of people who move to Miami, right? From Latin America. You have the wealthy ones that, they are retiring and they are here spending money, which is great for the city. Because Miami feels like Latin America. And you have also people trying to operate their business here. I think that's a niche, that's an industry, but first you need to conquer your own, find your strategy, conquer your own territory, and then you figure out how you're going to expand internationally.
That's
a serious question.
I know. But look, Endeavor, we love entrepreneurs. We have a great presence in Brazil.
Right, I know.
Endeavor Brazil is really important for the ecosystem. Very familiar. And so we're trying here also in Miami through Endeavor to support as many entrepreneurs as we can. And the work that you do is really important.
Great.
So thank you so much, Kaio, for joining me today.
Appreciate.
We're live from eMerge Americas, and thank you for being us.
Appreciate.
Thank you for your time.